Hello, listeners. This is Andy from the Inebri-art podcast, and happy fall. It is that time of year where we dress our kids up and send them out to get us candy. We drink pumpkin spice, and what's better in October than something a little spooky? And that's why this month's sponsor is Capers, Cape and Island Paranormal Research, and the Cape Cod Haunted History Tour. These take place down in Barnstable. You can visit haunted locations like the oldest wooden jail cell in America. You can also visit other haunted locations in the Barnstable area. This walking tour, they can take you around and show you everything spooky that goes on there. And for more information, you can go to Capers at CAIPRS.com. And we actually interviewed Derek, who runs Capers and the Haunted History Tour, on the Inebri-art podcast this month. So you can check that out as well. And so thank you to them. And make sure you find out what goes bump down in Barnstable. And thank you for listening.
All right, welcome back, Inebri-ites. This is Andy. I got it this time at the Inebri-art podcast. I almost forgot what I was talking about. And we are here with Jeff Rosen, local musician of all around town and abroad. And so, to give a little context to this, I used to live literally right around the corner from Lucioso's Pub here in Plymouth.
Yeah, that's where I got my start.
Yep, and that's the first time I saw you. And basically, it was my living room.
Perfect.
Because I lived so close that I could just stagger home. And I remember I saw you there, and I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah, well, thanks.
And so, like, when we started this, I'm like, oh, we're going to get some local people on. And this just kind of finally, we've been trying to get you on for a little bit. And so, how are you from Plymouth? Are you local boy?
I was born and raised like Halifax. I'm a Silver Lake kid, but
it's pretty
so
local.
not too far. But music kind of brought me in. There's so much going on here that now I spend almost all my time in Plymouth.
Yeah.
So.
When did you pick up an instrument? Like, have you been playing your whole life, or did it kind of come on in high school?
I actually started off as a piano player. I was a classical piano player.
Really?
Yeah, and my great-grandmother...
Because I look at you, and the first thing I think of is classical piano player.
Yeah, classical piano metal. No.
Yeah.
My great-grandmother was a piano teacher, so I kind of started off with that, and then discovered guitar in high school, and then that kind of got me into...
Because you got to get chicks.
Right, because chicks love guitars.
That's why every guy plays guitar in high school. Yep.
John Mayer songs all day.
Yep.
And so, I started picking up the guitar and just kind of fell in love with it, and and that's the end of that.
So what was, like, the music that sold you kind of at the time? Like, when you were in high school, when you picked up the guitar, were you like, I want to play Stairway to Heaven?
Oh, yeah.
Were you like, I want to play Dave Matthews? Like,
so growing up, I was raised on, like, kind of a little bit of everything, but then when I picked up guitar, my girlfriend's mother at the time was, like, really cool, and she was like, you started playing guitar? She's like, no, you're not listening to the right music. And she gave me Hendrix Greatest Hits album. She gave me a couple of Clapton albums and a Stevie Ray Vaughan album. And I was totally hooked.
Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah, totally hooked on that whole like rock blues kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's really what like got me going. You know?
I love Stevie Ray Vaughan, and I've realized recently that Jimi Hendrix almost takes like more focus to listen to.
Right.
Because I always have my my phone on at work on Pandora.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Jack White fan.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great Pandora channel.
Yeah.
Because you get Jack White, then you get the Raconteurs, then you get the White Stripes. So you get
what's a surprisingly great Pandora channel is Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
Shut up, really?
It's awesome. It's awesome.
I know what I'm listening to tomorrow.
Yeah, there you go.
Because
check it out.
every Friday at work, which tomorrow's Friday for our listeners, is 80s Day at
Yeah.
work. So I'm going to put that on.
It's like surprisingly great. You could do a couple of thumbs ups, and you will have like one of the funnest.
All right, that's what I'm listening to tomorrow. But anyway, so on the Jack, no, that's a great advice. So on the Jack White, you get a lot of Jimi Hendrix,
Right.
and there's a lot of guitar soloing that for background music doesn't really work.
Right,
You know,
right. You
because
gotta be ready to
it's
rock.
it's almost like distracting from what you're doing.
Right.
So
Right.
I have. I'm not saying I thumbed down a couple of songs just because I'm like I don't want them to be on this channel. But
I'm not gonna lie. I respect Jimmy, but I don't just like listen to Jimmy either. You know,
Yeah.
there's a couple tunes. You know, like I'm like really in love with his like straight blues stuff.
Yeah.
You know, Little Wing and Red House, that kind of thing. But some of his other stuff, I'm like, yeah, it's great. And like I said, I respect him as a player. I think he's fantastic, obviously.
Yeah.
But I just don't sit around listening to it. You know?
right, yeah. So that's the music that you got into. And at what point did you say it was at Luciosa's? Was that your first gig?
It was close. It was so that was when I I actually quit music for a while.
Yeah.
And that was like when I decided to get back into it, and that was the ever since then was when I've kind of it's grown into this. Now I'm playing music full time, and
Is that all you do?
That's all I do. Yeah, I just play music, and yeah. So that was kind of the first step to this chapter of the journey.
Yeah.
But no, I've been playing and doing things. I've been playing since high school in different bands and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I thought I was a lead player until I realized that I'm not that good at guitar.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Which is funny because you play great.
Oh,
you
thank
know?
you.
And the one thing that always kind of made you stand out, and when you play in a bar, you're playing covers.
Right.
You know, because that's what's going to keep the people there. They want to kind of sing along.
Yep.
They want to have a good time. Your song selection is very much all over the board.
All over the board.
Which is great, because it's been a while, but you also play some hip-hop? Am I?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Some
Yep.
maybe Snoop Dogg? Am I getting that
Yep.
right?
Oh, yeah. Snoop, Coolio. I do a little,
Yeah.
lots of Nelly.
Do you find that that helps kind of maintain the crowd, having that broad range? Or
Yeah, I like to, like you said, I love to play stuff that people want to hear and can sing along to, but I try to keep people guessing, so it's not like, a lot of people play songs that they know are going to be a hit with the bar, but they're the same thing that everybody else is doing.
Right.
So
it's like,
I try to throw
wagon
curveballs.
wheel
Yeah.
again.
14 times tonight.
Yeah.
So I try to do my best to like throw curveballs at people like, oh, I haven't heard this song in forever. I love this song. That kind of thing. 90s one-hit wonders that you haven't thought about forever, but you still know every word to the song.
And it's like it's played acoustically.
Yeah,
So then
exactly.
you're like, I know all these words, but what fucking song is this?
exactly.
Because it's just a little different. Yeah.
Or I love mashups too, so it's the same thing. I'll be singing one song, and all of a sudden you throw in a verse from a rap song.
Yeah.
And it just like again gets people to kind of go, wait, what? And and that's that's kind of my thing.
So you got your start at Luciosa's, which if our listeners haven't been here and are in the area, you clearly aren't in the area because it's the local place.
The local haunt.
Like where else do you play? Like what's your favorite place?
Oh man, I try to travel around as much as possible to keep everything fresh for everybody. But right now, two of my favorite gigs are in Plymouth, and I'm at the BBC in Plymouth every other Tuesday.
Okay.
And I love
the one down here in
right downtown. Yep, and I love that because it's just a late night crowd of like Tuesday weirdos. We all go out and
people who are out drinking heavy on
time.
Tuesdays,
and it's just a fun crowd.
Nice.
We do whatever anything goes, and it's just a great night. So that's one of my favorite gigs.
The BBC in downtown is one of the coolest kind of. It's a hole in the wall. It's on a side street.
There's no food. You just go there to drink.
There's Cheez-Its. I think there's Cheez-Its.
Yeah, Fritos.
Yeah. But it's like, so everyone's like, wow, this place is really small.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, wait, you can go upstairs?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the cool.
And there's couches and darts and giant Jenga. It's great. Yeah.
Oh, they have giant Jenga now? I haven't been there in a while, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while I'll be playing, and all of a sudden it sounds like the roof's coming down.
And then it's like the idea of couches, and you're like,
There's a fireplace up there.
I'm like half in the bag, and there's no way I'm getting out of this couch.
Right. I'm surprised they don't find people sleeping on those couches all the time.
It's had to have happened.
Had to have.
So BBC, where else?
And then so Main Street Sports, right?
Yep.
All right, right downtown. Every Saturday, I play with John Taglieri, and that is a whole different kind of show. He's a Key West guy, so we kind of our whole thing when we started that show was we wanted to bring the Key West vibe up to Plymouth.
Okay.
And we didn't know how it was going to go over. A lot of places wouldn't really let us try it because, I mean, it's called the shit show. We go and we drink a lot of Jameson.
Yeah. And
we get everyone else to drink a lot of Jameson. And it gets wild, and we make fun of people as soon as they come in the door, and if they can't handle it, they leave, It's great. We see how fast we can scare people off. Yeah. But we've built up this awesome crowd of regulars, and it's the most fun you'll have all weekend. Like, I look forward to Saturdays every single week. It's so much fun.
Now, do you play, that's upstairs at Main Street?
Downstairs.
Downstairs?
Yep. Okay. And it's 3 to 6. It's an afternoon show.
Oh, okay.
So it's
because I was gonna say, like, that's not what I remember happening every Saturday I walk by there.
Exactly. Yeah. Saturday afternoons, 3 to 6. Usually, if there's a crowd in there, we'll keep playing. Sometimes we've gone 3 to 9. It's like if people are there, they're having a good time. We'll just keep playing.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of unlike anything else that's going on around here, and that's the way we like it.
And that's the nice thing. And I've had this conversation with bar owners. It's like it's kind of ancestral. It's like, okay, so Jeff plays Lucioso's on Monday, and then he's going to be at New World on Wednesday.
Right.
And it's like, how many times? No offense.
Right.
But how many times do you want to see Jeff?
Exactly. Yeah, that's why I say and it's boring for me too. You know what I mean? Like, even if you were to come out to my show 3 times a week, I'd get sick of your face.
Right.
Right?
I have a very nice face. But you would be like, stop requesting that wagon wheel
stop
song.
requesting wagon wheel, man.
So wagon wheel, actually, I've had very philosophical conversations about.
Right.
Do you know John Krieg?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
With him, me being an artist and talking about having to draw things that I don't want to draw, and playing things that you don't want to play. So we've had and Wagon Wheel was kind of like the token song.
Right.
Are there songs that you just dread to play that you're just like, don't make me play that.
Yeah.
I don't want to play. I can't.
There's the only song that I absolutely refuse to play ever is Mustang Sally.
Yeah.
I won't do it. I won't do it. I just hate. It's a great song. I just hate playing it. It's just so. It's just so overdone. I just don't do it. But that's the only one. I know a lot of people who have certain songs they won't play, and my kind of philosophy is if you're having a good time, if you earnestly want to hear the song, then I'll play it for you.
Yeah.
On Saturdays though, we charge extra for those songs.
For the songs that you don't want to play?
So we say, we'll play a Freebird, but it's going to cost you $100. So we've been talking for a while about actually writing a list down of a price list for different songs.
That everyone requests.
Wagon Wheel would be on there. Yeah. Sweet Caroline would be on there.
That was the song I was trying to think of. That I can't think of.
Freebird, of course, would be on there. Stairway. There'd be be a bunch of those tunes on it. But
what are the wacky, crazy requests that kind of stick with you? Have you had one?
Man. A lot of people they will request songs that they love when they don't understand the difference between a song that's awesome when you're listening to it in your car and a song that's awesome to play at a bar. It's a totally different
don't
vibe.
Play some
so
sappy,
they'll request some crazy deep cut from this band, and I'm like, yeah, I've heard that song before, I know it, and they're like, yeah, so play it. I'm like, there's a difference between knowing a song and knowing how to play a song. And even if I did know how to play it, nobody else here wants to listen to me sing that sappy love song to you. It's just so. That's. I don't really usually get anything. Usually, if people request something that's out there, they're just being an asshole.
Right,
they're Slayer.
Wait, you get an asshole at a bar?
Imagine that,
get
right?
Out,
yeah,
really?
It's a weird phenomenon.
I'm not at all of them. So. We had talked briefly before I had to stop myself interviewing you.
Yeah, yeah.
Fish yells at me when I pre-interview people.
Right.
You were talking about you have some sort of project that you're planning, like maybe a band. What do you, like?
Yeah. So
tell me about that now that I can ask you.
Right. So for the past few years, I've been like kind of just building a reputation as a musician in general, and playing and just kind of focusing on paying the bills with music, which has been great. And
to me, I'm so like I like my job, but I'm so envious of people that can just be like, I just do the thing I love to do.
Right. And don't get me wrong, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's a hustle, but it's it's a good hustle. You know, it's something that I enjoy doing, and I don't mind spending all the days.
Let me talk to you about what I like to do.
Yeah. Right.
Let me do what I like to do for you.
Exactly. So I built that up, and then I about 2 years ago was approached, by an agency to join a wedding band, and so I've been doing that, working general business, and with like a phenomenal group of musicians, all Berkeley people, and they're I never thought that I'm not a Berkeley kid. I just started playing for fun, and here I am working with these guys like real pros, So I was always considering myself lucky. And
do they ever kind of get to that point where they start talking about something? You're like, and then you're on your phone Googling it. Like, I don't know what they're talking about.
No, they were nice to me. My bass player is like, he's like, incredibly talented and incredibly, he's like a musical genius, and he understands that sometimes I'm like, hey, what's that thing?
What are they talking about?
So he's taught me a lot.
He's like, they're just fucking with you.
Yeah. They're not even talking about music anymore, man. That's a burrito.
That's a baseball player.
So anyway, so I was focused on that, and like now I'm in a spot where I'm doing, pretty well, and I kind of want to take a step back and focus now on getting back into my original thing, and so I'm looking at in 2018, hopefully getting an album finished and out, and then getting out on the road as, Jeff Rosen original act.
Yeah.
And bringing a band out to play some of my original music and traveling around a little bit.
Maybe doing like a little tour.
Yeah, I mean, we'll call it a tour, but, it's not like I'm not planning on playing in stadiums or anything.
Hey, man, if you hit the North Shore, if you hit the North Shore, it's a tour.
Yeah. It's a tour, right? Yeah.
Did you drive there?
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
In a bus
did
or
I
vehicle?
Did I take a Greyhound there?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, it would be cool that even if I could just kind of do what I'm doing around here, but while I'm out playing covers with a band, be able to play a couple of original tunes and be like, hey, here's, buy my CD or take my CD. I don't care. Throw a tip in the jar,
Yeah.
And just kind of like get my name out there and just like start getting my feet wet in the original scene, and
maybe get it up on something like Spotify,
right? Right. Yeah.
Or maybe we get linked to something else,
and I know, some people, they're phenomenal musicians and songwriters, and my strength is more like performing, So I want to get out there and meet people and like get out there and just do it,
Yeah, I actually had a conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and she was talking about someone who's a great singer, and she's like, I don't understand, why he isn't signed or made it big,
right.
And I'm like, I don't want to say it has nothing to do with your ability,
right?
But that is just one
facet of the whole thing.
Because it's like, how much are you going to hustle? How hard are you going to work? Do you feel like you're entitled to doing it? Like, those people like, I deserve this. Right. Fucking forget it.
People have to like you, man. That's what you're there for, is for fans, and that's it. So so that's what I'm banking on, because my music's not good.
Dude, we just had to fill a recording spot.
Yeah,
like I'm like, hey, Jeff's free, and I've seen him hold a guitar.
Yeah. That's a cardboard cutout of a guitar.
So, like, when do you think that CD will be out? To me, it's such a great time to be a creative person in Plymouth.
It is. Yeah, oh yeah, Plymouth is.
It's
absolutely going to explode. I mean, there's just so much talent here. The upside to that is that, like, I have lots of friends that are doing big things. The downside to that is it's really competitive.
Yeah. But in a very friendly way.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's
which is so cool.
I would never say. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love the people. There are some bands around here that are like really doing great things, and I have great relationships with them. But but when it comes down to it, you know what I mean? It's hard to get. There's only so many like music fans that are going to be coming out on a Thursday night, and they're going to go see their favorite bands. You know?
Exactly.
So that's where the competitive thing comes in. Yeah. And like you said, it's definitely not like malicious or anything.
No,
it's just
it's music. It's the businesses down here. I feel like I moved down here maybe like 8 years ago, and I just feel like since then there's been just this vibe going on.
Right.
And I'm sure my listeners are sick of hearing about it, but if you're not local, you don't get it.
No.
It's, the Spire's open now, and that's an amazing facility.
Yeah.
And
I actually had a friend who lived in Austin, and Austin's supposed to be Music City.
Right,
they have all these things. It's the live music capital right now, and she came up to visit, and I was like, you got to see Plymouth. I would love to, I want to go to Austin, but I want you to come see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And she was blown away.
Yeah.
She's like, she's like, the talent level around here is incredible. And she goes, there's music, live music everywhere. She's like, but half the time they're not very good, or they're like whatever, or it's just not my cup of tea.
Right.
And she's like, she said everybody that came down here, she was entertained by them. She liked their music. She bought a couple of CDs. She was like, she was just like absolutely blown away. And I said, like, this is so cool. Somebody from Austin that spends time there all the time, is into music, is coming to Plymouth and is impressed. That says something.
And that's the thing, especially like in the summertime when everyone's got the windows open.
Right.
For our listeners not local, there's between Main Street and Water Street, there's conservatively 40 bars, and I'm not exaggerating at all.
Easily, yeah.
And they all have music Friday, Saturday.
Right.
Some have like Saturday afternoon and then Saturday night.
And now you're getting things during the weeknight in the summertime because everybody's, that competition is a good thing too.
It's if you want to play out somewhere,
right,
you can do it in Plymouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Someone will give you a shot on Thursday or a Wednesday or something.
If it wasn't for Plymouth, I couldn't play music full time. Just wouldn't happen.
So when you get the CD out, is it gonna? So you want to be Jeff Rosen, but are you gonna have the same guys with you? Are you gonna have like a band name?
That's a good question. I originally wanted to do a band thing, but it's incredibly hard to find people that are on the same wavelength and want to not only create the same kind of thing that you want to create, but like that you just mesh with naturally, and people that can commit themselves.
Sure.
Because us musicians aren't known for being the most reliable folks,
What, really?
Yeah.
Not saying we've gotten stood up by musicians.
Right.
It's happened.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that the way that I kind of want to go with it is focus on my music and put it out there, and like hire mercs, for lack of a better word, and then if they say, hey, this is great, I want to hop on board, and it turns into a band, then I'm all for like turning it into a band thing. But for right now, I think it's just going to be the Jeff Rosen,
and it gives you a lot of flexibility,
right?
Where you can, the drummer's not working out, let's swap them out.
Right, exactly.
Well, the bass player's not working, let's swap them out.
Right,
and then it's the same group.
Right,
and
right.
I did air quotes for people who are listening. I don't know why, but I did. So I can't believe I just did that again. That's the kicker.
I didn't even notice until you said something.
No, I do it all the time. 50-some episodes. I figured I'd be better at this.
Yeah.
I'm not. I know. I don't even know. So, are there places that you want to play that you haven't been able to get into yet? Like, do you want to play like Memorial Hall or like?
I would love to. There's so many great venues around too that I either haven't had the time to get into, or just like haven't. I don't know, for whatever reason, haven't been able to get in there. But so I don't know. Let's see. Definitely Memorial Hall would be cool. I mean, there's the food truck rodeo in South Weymouth. Have you heard of that?
I've seen like posts on Facebook about that. Is that coming up?
Union Point. Well, they do a couple of them.
Last week.
They do a couple of them throughout the summer. I think they do 3.
Oh, nice.
So
I didn't even know they had entertainment at it.
It's if you haven't gone, you have to check it out. I played for it a couple years ago.
I don't know if you can tell this.
Yeah.
I do like food.
Me too. So I played for it a couple of years ago, and I was the opening slot. I was like the 10 a.m. slot. And I didn't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't tell me anything about it, and I showed up thinking like, oh, is this going to be like some kind of backyard thing? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Enormous event. Enormous. They have a full stage there. They have
wow.
I mean, it's like a concert stage setup.
Yeah.
And they had like something like 30 food trucks all parked around soccer fields.
Yeah. Nice.
And then they have all kinds of activities for kids and drum circles and all kinds. I mean, just like they had a bird show last time. And I mean, it's a really, really cool event.
Huh.
And all kinds of local vendors.
Yeah.
And I mean, just awesome. And then live music all day. And they have some big headliner at night. And our band, our general business band, was in talks with them to play this year at that, and that's like a 4,000 person show, which would have been
that's
really,
pretty
really
sweet,
cool. Yeah. But it didn't end up working out, so that's on my radar for next year.
Yeah. Have you had like that one gig that you weren't maybe expecting much or a big crowd, and you get there and just the fates align and like the place is fucking jam packed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's I try to never get my hopes up too much because it just makes me anxious, like I get nervous. So I just always assume that it's going to be a quiet night, and like if it turns out to be wild, then great, But it's so that happens a lot. It happens all the time. Sometimes in places that I've played one week when it's been quiet, and the next week when it's been insane and just like the best time ever.
Nice.
The Junction in South Boston is a fantastic room for that, where you get groups in there that just are requesting songs and singing, and they're there to have a good time. That's it's not a big place, but it's a really fun
people like
room.
to drink in South Boston.
Imagine that.
Who would
right?
know? A bunch of buddies of mine back in high school, like one of them was the drummer in the band, and he was the oldest and had gone off to Quinnipiac.
Okay.
And it was like the summer of like 92, so like Pearl Jam had just hit.
Right.
And so of course that was their band. They covered Pearl Jam songs because it was high school and that's what you did.
Right.
And so they set up behind his dorm, and there was like a natural amphitheater, like a hill rose up out of the back of his dorm. He's like, there was like 20 kids, and he's like, it was like senior weekend, like big party weekend.
Right.
They played a set, and they're like, let's go get drunk.
Yeah.
And we'll come back in like, an hour.
Let's see what happens.
So like 2 hours later, they come back, and apparently this rumor had been going around that Pearl Jam was at the school. He's like, we came back, and the whole hillside was full from like the entire school. And I'm like, that must be crazy. He's like, we were stage diving off balconies. He's like, it was it was like
an awesome story.
It was like that we've made it moment without really making it.
Right. Yeah.
Which has just got to be fantastic.
That's great.
At what point were you like, I can now sustain myself off of music? Like, was there a specific, like, I'm booking this place all the time? Or was there, like... it had to be nerve-wracking. I'd be petrified.
So, I was working for Trader Joe's, and I was working full time. I was running a section. I was responsible for.
So it's gonna be smart ass. Be like, you're shagging carriages.
No, so I was.
Were you department head? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Retail blows.
Yeah, it's awful. It was terrible, and I was in Frozen, so I spent my entire day in a freezer, pretty much.
Nice.
And I actually didn't mind it. I had some really good friends that I worked with, and it was great. And I had started gigging, and it got to the point where I was like, having to call out of work to go to gigs, or like, hey, I need this night off. Hey, I need
Did you get that you have to make a choice speech?
No. So this is what happened. So one of my best friends that I went to high school with and grew up with was my manager, and I had just gotten to work one time. I like punch in, and I get a phone call from a bar down in Plymouth. Hey, our band canceled last minute tonight. And they were like, can you do it? If you can come in tonight solo, we'll pay you what we're going to pay the band. So I'm looking at this going, okay, that's like close to 2 weeks' salary that I could be making tonight.
Right. Yeah.
And I look at my buddy, who's my manager. I'm like, I just got this offer. This is how much they're paying me. I'm like, what I make in money. I got to go. And he's like, Jeff, I love you. He goes, you already punched in. There's nothing I can do. If you punch out right now, you're going to get written up.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. So I called the bar back and I turned the gig down.
Oh.
Because I didn't want to lose my job.
Right.
Yeah. And the entire night that I was there, stocking the frozen shelves, I was like punching,
I'm sure you were
punching
in a great
the broccoli.
mood.
I was like, what am I doing with my life?
Fucking cauliflower.
So I came in the next day and I went to my manager and I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I can't do it. And he goes, I don't blame you. And he goes, as a matter of fact, if you don't want to come back, like, you don't have to. And I was like, I'm gonna go chase some gigs. And I left. And it's been the best decision I ever made. Yeah. So it was. Yeah, I mean, I wish that I made it the night before, but
I remember when I worked retail, I had like this heated conversation with my manager, who again was a friend.
Yeah,
and it was like, well, you need to make a decision if this is something you want to do. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm telling you I don't want to do this. I thought it was clear.
Right.
And it was a year and a half ago that I changed professions.
Right.
I guess. And it's so...
It's a scary thing.
It is. It's very scary because you're like, I don't know what I'm getting into.
And I had just had... my family thought I was crazy because I had just had a baby, and...
nice.
So, and my
boy or girl?
Girl, yeah. So I actually have 3 girls now.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Did you not figure out what happened the first time?
Yeah.
I don't know what's causing this.
Three's way too many. So we had just had a baby, and she wasn't working or anything. And when I told my family that I quit my job, they were ready to, I don't know, murder me.
Right. They're like, what are you thinking? You have responsibilities. Yeah, right, like, do you understand that I gave up 2 weeks' salary?
Yeah.
to work for 1 day.
Yeah. They hated it, and they were pretty pissed at me for a while until they started seeing, hey, this is actually working, Yeah. And now it's been great. It actually got to the point where she was able to quit her job, and I was supporting the family for a while. Now she opened up a photography studio that's like blowing up.
Oh, no kidding!
So she's doing photography full time now. And
let's give her a plug. Like, is there a website?
It's Smooth Sailing Photography, and she specializes in newborns, family photos. She does a little bit of everything, but that's like her niche. She does. She's just started doing weddings. She's done boudoir. She's done senior pictures. But they got this nice little studio in Plimpton that is called Darling Chic. She works with another photographer. Little Moments by Katie, and they're both really talented, super nice, and they work well together, and they just have been blowing up. So. That's part of the reason why I've been able to all right, now I can step back and start working on my original stuff.
Right, I can do some.
We're helping each other out
and
awesome. Growing. Yeah, it's good.
And doing what you both want to do.
Yeah,
from a relationship standpoint, like, are things like better, easier now that like you're both kind of happy?
It's funny.
I don't want to say it like
it's
that.
Funny. It's funny because it's like the power couple thing. Like now we're both running our own business, and that's really what it is, when you see like a musician or a photographer on the outside, it looks really easy. Oh, we do a shoot and we only have to work for 2 hours a day or something. But there's a lot of office work that goes into it.
And I got to hustle a week and a half to get that 2 hour shoot.
Exactly, yeah. And she does a lot of editing and everything. Yeah. So it can get pretty competitive at home with like, hey, I need to have some office time, and or I need to practice a song for this wedding that's coming up, or she needs to edit.
I told you 3 weeks ago that I needed 2 hours today.
Yeah, but the upside is, we're both home with the kids all the time. We both work from home, so we completely control our schedule. So for all the downs, there's lots of ups, and it's just like anything else. It's we're making it work, and it's fun.
That's awesome. That's really great. And I feel like you being a creative music type and her being a creative photographer type, it's very tough to have a relationship with someone who doesn't kind of understand that dynamic. Right. And been like, I'm not spacey.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about stuff.
I'm just focused on something else.
Yeah,
and when like 4 a.m, you're like, hey, I have this idea for a TV show. And they're like, what? What are you talking about? They're like, no, I just have to get it out of my head. Just listen for 2 seconds. So I feel like when creative people can like kind of function together like that, it's like, all right, tell me your stupid idea for a video game. I don't hear it. But you're going to listen to my idea for a TV show later.
Exactly. Yeah. Pretty sure we've had those conversations.
So you know what I'm talking about. So you have 3 girls.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I have one.
I'll get rid of some if anybody wants one.
All right, so if you want a girl, you can email Jeff Rosen. I don't know the legalities. Inebri-art does not support that. Ages?
So my oldest will be 5 in a couple weeks.
Wait, you have 3 under 5?
Yeah.
Fucking drink up.
I
man.
know. Yeah.
Let's get him another beer.
Yeah. So right now they're 1, 2, and 4.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah.
Do you not know what causes
I know.
that?
I'm cutting it off. Cutting the whole thing off. I bought this tiny little guillotine.
Did you watch Game of Thrones? We'd like to introduce Jeff Rosen, the Unsullied.
Yeah, the Unsullied. The no longer Sullied.
Irish guy, the Unsullied.
Yeah. New band name.
Yeah, there you go. God, I love that now. I feel like I want a shirt that says the Unsullied. Wow, that's
a lot.
That's a lot of diapers.
That's so many diapers. So many diapers.
Yeah, I had 2 that are 2 years apart.
Yeah,
but, one is a boy and he can pee standing up.
Yeah,
so that's like totally different. Because then you'd be like, I get it.
Yeah. I got that. My 2-year-old now is like she's ready for potty training, but doesn't get it yet. So like, she just likes to. She takes her diaper off all the time. So twice today. This is fun diaper.
Piss on the floor?
No, she shit in her diaper and then takes it off and is like, Dad, look here. And it's like, turds flying out everywhere, and so that's fun,
Yeah,
so that's where I'm at in life.
But and the funny thing is, like, parents are like, that happens. I was going to ask you if you see them kind of like following in like a music or an art kind of thing, but they're so young.
They're so young, yeah. But it's so funny. They'll have strong personalities already. My oldest, I don't know if she's going to be a musician. She definitely has interest in music, but I can see her as some kind of performer. She loves to like be in front of people and
likes to be the center of attention.
Yeah. So who knows? Maybe she'll be a comedian or something. I don't know.
Yeah. My son earlier this summer was like, I think maybe I want to be a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
I'm like, right on, dude. Let's find an open mic.
Do it.
Yeah. And then, like, the other day, he's like, because he's 15, so he wants to kind of be everything. Like, because you don't know.
Right.
15, you have no idea.
Be an astronaut.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah. And he's like, maybe something sciencey, because I have a science mind. And I'm like, right on, sure.
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So if, I'm pretty sure you were a kid. You talked about being in high school.
I was once, yeah.
And I was also a kid. And when I was a kid, fuck you. That's to Fish, not to Jeff. I feel like our listeners would know that. Like the jobs I have now didn't exist. Like
that's true.
It's such a weird time, and especially being an adult, and looking at what I do and going, yeah, people pay me to do this, and I don't know why. Like it's like they do it, and I get why they do it, but it's kind of silly. Like if someone wanted to be a musician, like a gigging, like do you have like how do you get into that first bar? Like how do you go to John Lewis and be like, give me the time of day?
Yeah. I happen to just be lucky with that situation because he was opening up a new bar, and I used to go into he had a pizza shop, and I used to go into the pizza shop in Pembroke every day for lunch, and because I was working across the street at the time, and he goes, oh, I'm thinking about doing music, and I said, I'm thinking about playing music. Why don't you give me a shot? And he was like, okay, and so that was, I just really lucked out with it, and had no business really doing it when I started, but we.
I enjoyed it. I was pretty drunk, but I enjoyed it.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. But I would say that now, like even in the past couple of years, there's been so many tools invented, like you said, things that didn't exist before for people. That now is a great time. It used to be that the only way to make it in music, if you wanted to,
you got to sign with a record.
You got to sign with a label, and if you weren't going to sign with a label, you were going to be living in your mom's basement, and you were going to be struggling, whatever. I know so many people now that are making good money playing music, and that to me is making it. I support my family by doing something that I love, and that's
right. That's it. That's the dream.
If that's all that I ever do, then I've made it, man. You know. So my first piece of advice for people would be: don't get caught up in thinking that you have to sign a record deal or you have to play Gillette Stadium or something. There are so many other avenues, especially now that with there are things like house concerts and things like, people are playing on Periscope and I mean, there's all kinds of different avenues to go and play your music and be heard and make some money doing it, and if you diversify a little bit, you can do it.
And there's so many options. There's Patreon.
Yep.
And, the big news this week that I keep fucking hearing from people, and I'm like, really, that's a thing? Is what radio station is it? BRU?
Yeah.
BRU is being sold and going
Yep.
away. And my response is, people still listen to the radio?
Right.
Really?
Right.
And so I had this conversation again. I think it was the other day with someone, and she's like, "Oh, it's so sad that the radio is going away." I'm like, "Why?"
It's better now.
It's so you can literally make a living recording cover songs if you have a good way to a good idea on YouTube.
Right. Look at what's the I can't think of the I'm blanking on the band now, but they started off as an acoustic duo, brothers. They play pop songs, Boyce Avenue. Boyce.
No, I don't know them.
Okay, so their whole thing is they take pop songs and they play acoustic versions of them, and they've become so huge from just making these mellow versions of pop songs and rap songs and whatever. And they just have a nice quality video, and they now sell out stadiums internationally.
Yeah.
I mean, playing covers, doing this thing. So they found a thing that they were good at, and they did it, and they put their work into it, and they made fans, and they connected with people, and that's what it's all about. And so
and I'm almost thinking of the exact opposite. There's a Frog Leap Studios,
okay,
and they take pop songs and turn them into metal songs.
Yeah,
and the dude's from Norway or Finland or something like that, but it's they get 400,000 downloads.
Exactly. It's great.
It's crazy.
It's great.
And to me, the most important thing is you have to be honest and sincere.
Right.
You can't be like, I hate metal, but I'm going to make metal songs. Right. And be consistent.
Right.
Don't expect the first one to blow up. Don't expect the second one. We're episode 57 something.
Right.
Whatever. We're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's
and there's also a lot of people that want to bellyache about stuff because because it's not the way it used to be, or because it's not the way that they thought that it was going to be, or I went to school for this stuff and I know how it's supposed to be, and it's hey man, the world changed overnight, you know, and
it's only going to change faster,
and it's just changing. If you're not keeping up with it, you shouldn't expect to be going anywhere, and
it's right back to the entitled people.
You
can't be entitled. You have to be appreciative.
Exactly,
and I think that gets you farther.
Exactly, it's about connecting with people. It's always been about connecting with people.
Say thank you, not you're welcome.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that just. And
I like that. Did you make that up?
I just came up with that right now.
That's good.
You're welcome. You have to give me a nickel every time you say it, though.
Okay. That's a little TM after.
Yeah. Can we copyright that before this episode goes up? So I think we are.
To our lawyer.
We kind of sort of have one.
We know one.
We have one on retainer. Yeah. We can give him beer. We have one on retainer.
Never does anything. We don't have to pay him.
That's true. So before we, because you're gonna play some songs for us.
Yeah.
Where can people hear you online? Is there a JeffRosen.com?
There's a JeffRosenMusic.com, nice. And I keep my full schedule on there. All my latest news. There's links to all my social media on there. So that's definitely the place to go.
Sweet.
Yeah, JeffRosenMusic.com. Check it out.
And before we get into music, I have to do my due diligence, which this is probably the first time ever. You can follow us on Facebook. Inebri-art is on Twitter at Inebri-art. Email us at Inebri-art@yahoo.com. We are still waiting for our first hate mail. And I guarantee you'll be read.
I'll send you one.
Really?
I'll send you one.
That's so sweet, man. Thank you.
We've heard that before.
Yeah. Still haven't gotten one.
Yeah.
Although we did get our first invitation to something. Been like, hey, come to our thing. We'll let you in free. Okay. So that's very exciting. How old are you?
31.
You might be on the cusp. No, you don't know.
My time.
No, fuck you guys.
Like I knew of it.
Does anyone know what Creature Double Feature is anymore? No. God,
I've heard of it.
Why do I have this show? It makes me feel old. Yeah, so email us at Inebri-art.com. Thanks again to our sponsor this month, Sock Panda. Make sure you check out our other podcasts, Jam Pack Podcast, Bar Talk Podcast, Old Colony Podcast. I think that's all the shit that I keep saying. Sure. That's probably it. What songs are you going to play for us, Joe?
I'm going to do an original song that people...
I kind of requested it beforehand.
It's one of my... but it's the one that people always seem to remember. It's called Goodbye Love. It's an Irish tune. Kind of Irish, because I'm kind of Irish.
It's like an Irishy drinking song.
Yeah. It's kind of silly. And then I'm thinking Soul Shine by Warren Haynes and something by Chris Stapleton.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Let's get to that.
Well, I once had a girl who was lovely, beautiful and of course well equipped. But after 2 months, well, I finally saw that pushy bitch had me whipped. Well, I put up with it for quite a long while, but then she took it too far. When she told me that I had been drinking too much and I wasn't allowed at the bar. I said goodbye, love, headed down to the pub to drink away all of my sorrow and forget about you while I drown a few with the girl I wake up with tomorrow. Well, I once had a girl who was lovely. I thought I loved to be true. I was planning on popping the question till I found what that slut was up to. All she told me was Champ is a friend, and I believed that he was no more. Till I came home one night, I was high as a kite, and I found him on top of that whore. I said goodbye, love, headed down to the pub to drink away all of my sorrow, forget about you while I drown a few with the girl I wake up with tomorrow. I said goodbye, love, headed down to the pub to drink away all of my sorrow and forget about you while I drown a few with the girl I wake up with tomorrow. When you can't find the light that got you through the cloudy days, when the stars ain't shining bright, you feel like you've lost your way. When those candle lights of home burn so very far away, well, you gotta let your soul shine, just like my daddy used to say. He said sunshine is better than sunshine, it's better than moonshine, we all know it's better than rain. Now we don't mind, we out there there's a waste of time, so let your soul shine on till the break of day. I grew up thinking that I had it made, make it all on my own. Life can take the strongest man, make you feel so all alone. And now that I feel the cold wind flowing through my aching bones. Thinking back to what my daddy said, son, it's darkest before the dawn. He said, oh, shine, it's better than sunshine, it's better than moonshine, we almost better than rain. Now we don't mind, we up it is a waste of time. So let your all shine, shine on till the break of day. Now that I make you feel this emptiness, like a woman is robbed him of his very soul. A woman took our nose, she can feel like this, oh. When the world seems cold, let your spirit take control and say slow shine. It's better than sunshine, it's better than moonshine, it's damn sure better than rain. Now we don't mind, we all feel it's a waste of time. You gotta let your soul shine, shine on and on and on. Ooh, yes, it's soul shine, better than sunshine, better than rain. No, we don't mind, we all feel it's a waste sometimes. So let your soul shine, shine on to the break of day. Yeah, hell yeah. All right, let's see. Spend my nights out in the barroom. Nigga was the only friend I've known. You rescued me from reaching the bottom, brought me back from being too far gone. You're smooth Tennessee whiskey, you're as sweet as strawberry wine. You're as old as a glass of brandy, yeah. I get stoned on your love all the time. I look for love in all the wrong places, yes. From the bottom of a bottle, one's always died. When you poured out your heart, I didn't waste it, no. There's another like your love to get me high. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey, yeah. You're as sweet as strawberry wine, yeah. You're as old as a glass of brandy, yeah. I get stoned on your love all the time. Smooth as Tennessee whiskey, you're as sweet as strawberry wine. stone on your love all the time. Smooth, it's Tennessee whiskey. It's Tennessee whiskey. It's Tennessee whiskey.
Damn.
Yeah. Nice. Alrighty. So, yeah.
All right, see you later. Fuck off.